In our video on Midnight in Paris, we talked about the artist's struggle to find something meaningful to say about life, and its inner struggle to live in the present all the 24 hours of the day. And in Bullets Over Broadway, Woody Allen brings us another sharp commentary on the artist's craft. This time, the central dilemma is it really possible to be both a true artist and a good person? Are we artists first, or human beings? The aspiring writer David Shane is trying to launch his new play on Broadway. Now he insists on directing it himself, because, according to him, every other director had ruined his work. He was chasing success, but was surrounded by people who invent their own moral codes, like his Marxist friend, who boasts that he's so brilliant he can create his own morality. In reality, though, he's completely disconnected from real life, drowning in emptiness. Throughout the film, we see the recurring drama of the contemporary artist, trying to make art while being profoundly immature. They talk about art, but they don't live as real human beings.
I'm a whore! Oh my God! I'm a prostitute!
David, pull yourself together! They'll call the police!
They play games of ego, and as animals, they are driven by impulses and addictions. We meet Helen Sinclair, the famous actress, parasitic, egocentric, with a trail of ex-husbands, clinging to her fading stardom. She lives off seduction, draining those around her in a desperate attempt to claw her way back to the spotlight. We also see the gluttonous actor, pouring all his anxiety into food. The fragile actress, who parades around with her dog as if it were her soul. And the producer, enslaved by money, always dependent on others to finance his plays. All around, Woody Allen portrays the rotting backstage of art, a world where the artwork consumes, instead of inspires, and where people just want success and be famous, instead of just wanting to produce good art. Caught in the middle, David Shane tries to manage the egos of his cast, while wrestling with his own.
That's it, I quit. This is crazy. So
Quit.
He forgets that art is always collective. It breathes until the very last moment, and can even be enriched by improvisation. In the end, the so-called artist is silenced. He is seduced and swallowed by this corrupt artistic environment, and in the process, almost loses what was truly most valuable to him, something he didn't realize until it was gone, the love and fidelity of his partner. After this whole mad journey, David realizes that he himself was the problem all along. Reality showed him he was just another ego consumed by the toxic backstage of art. He wanted to be an artist, but forgot how to be a man. And when the curtain fell, he saw that the greatest loss wasn't the play, it was the loss of human dignity.
I'm an artist too. I'm not a great artist like you, but I'm an artist. But you know what? First, I'm a human being. I'm a decent, moral human being!
And here Woody Allen leaves us with a piercing question: what is more valuable? The artwork that might live after our death, or one human life, that comes with the love and fidelity that can be lived here and now? Because the truth is, the artist who seeks success at any cost will have to make compromises, or a deal with the devil, as said in the movie. To get his work staged while he's alive, he will have to bend, concede, and sacrifice. And in this descent, he discovers what reality always teaches: nothing ever comes out exactly as we imagine in our head. To make something real is to accept that it will always be different, always what was possible in these circumstances.
Life is not perfect. Plus, it is short. And if you can't figure that out, you might as well pack up right now and go back to Pittsburgh.
And in this story, the collision with reality takes the form of money, power, and corruption. David is forced to deal with the ones who truly run the show, men who became rich by surrendering to the world, by playing dirty. And the gangster, even though drowning in material abundance, was living a glamorous but shallow life, spoiling a superficial young dancer who dreams of being an actress. A girl who doesn't even know what art is, has no talent, lives only on appearances, and of course, just wants to be famous, and is not even faithful to the lover who gave her everything she could ever have in this world.
Who's this Hamlet guy?
Come on, out of here. Go on, go on.
Does he live around here?
In the middle of this world, where everyone pretends to be refined and drowns in their own ego, there stands a seemingly ordinary man. A brute, supposedly ignorant man who, surprisingly, creates true art. Cheech, the bodyguard who worked for the mob since he was 16, at first appears to know nothing but violence. Yet, he astonishes the audience, showing that the common man, too, has something profound to say. That art doesn't need to be chained to ego, pretension, or the empty games of self-importance that so many so-called artists play. But at the same time, his journey reveals the tragedy of a wasted gift, of a talent buried under the wrong environment. Because in the end, it doesn't matter if you write the perfect play, if that play costs the life of a human being. Cheech creates a masterpiece, yes, but in the process, even without seeking fame, he claims it as his own. Just to please his own egos and ideas, he takes the life of Olive, sacrificing a human being on the fake altar of art. In doing so, he loses his own soul. In this point, we may question ourselves, must an artist always be temperamental, chaotic, and consumed, in order to create? Is it impossible to be a good man and a true artist at the same time? Because in the madness of Broadway's Backstage, the toxic ground where plays are born, Woody Allen's answer in this story is that David Shane gives up. He leaves it all behind and returns to Pittsburgh, to live an extraordinarily ordinary life, as a good man, but not an artist. This could be interpreted as the good factor of trying to achieve your biggest dreams and in the process, realize that destiny had other and better plans for you. But also, is this dualistic vision true? Must one choose between morality and art? Between living as a decent human being or as a supposedly authentic artist? It is true that creating a work of art demands a great struggle, moving to a big city where things are actually produced, living in an attic, paying high rent, with little quality of life. In the middle of this environment, surrounded by selfish and egocentric people, most young artists, full of ideals, let themselves be carried away. But reality shows that another path might be possible, though it requires much more effort. Look for example at J.R.R. Tolkien. The man who shaped the imagination of the 20th century with The Lord of the Rings lived a profoundly moral life, devoted to his wife, his family, and his faith. He endured trials, yes, but remained faithful to his principles. For over 50 years he worked tirelessly on his masterpiece. And yet, without seeking it, he became famous and changed the course of history. All it takes is to open yourself to the hardships of life, instead of locking yourself inside your own plans. Because in truth, you don't even know if your plans will come true, or if they'll actually bring you joy once they do. But here and now, right where we are, we can choose to focus on the goods that will always be within our reach, to be a good person, to fight to control our instincts, and to live morally today. In other words, creating great art without losing your soul requires time, perseverance, and fidelity to what is higher than yourself. It requires resisting ego, embracing sacrifice, and being faithful in the ordinary. And perhaps, if we do this long enough, we might achieve some success. Not because we hunted for it above everything else, but because we were faithful to what are the true treasures in this world, like Tolkien. Because the greatest masterpiece is not the one we put on stage. It's the life we choose to live. Art may inspire the world, but only virtue saves the soul. In the end, true greatness is not measured by applause, but by fidelity to truth, to love, and to life itself. And if you haven't seen our video on Midnight in Paris, just click on the card on the top right of your screen, and I see you in the next video.